Okay, so writing your Shakespeare introduction. The first step is to consider who. So, who is involved on stage, what kind of speech is occurring, who is being addressed, and who is dominant. If we think about an example from Othello, which we've looked at already, it would be Brabantio's speech from Act 1, Scene 2. So, who's involved on stage and who is dominant? Brabantio is delivering a monologue. Othello is being addressed, yet there are other characters involved on stage. So although Othello is being directly addressed by the speech, Brabantio also wants to persuade others on stage of his guilt. So Roderigo, Iago, and other officers are also present. The next question is where. So where does it come from in the play? What has just occurred prior to this, and where are things headed from now? So it comes from early on in the play. Prior to this, Iago has riled Brabantio, got him angry about the fact that Othello has stolen his daughter, and if we think about where things are headed, obviously it's to court in the next scene where Othello will have to justify his actions. So how are the characters feeling? Othello probably feels quite accosted. He wasn't expecting Brabantio to be so aggressive and shout at him. He probably didn't know that Brabantio knew of his marriage to Desdemona already, so he's feeling probably quite shocked and surprised at this point. The other characters on stage are perhaps feeling uncomfortable at Brabantio's outburst. Brabantio holds quite a high power in the play, so for him to have such an aggressive outburst might be surprising to the other characters. In terms of how Brabantio's feeling, he's feeling betrayed by his daughter. He's also feeling extremely angry. It's written in blank verse. The reason Brabantio, although of his high power, does not use verse in this situation is because of the content of the speech. Because he's angry, it wouldn't really suit the rhyme that verse would include. Okay, so what is happening? What is the purpose of the speech? What is the content of it? Some of these have been covered already, but the purpose of the speech is for Brabantio to get out his feelings towards Othello, perhaps make Othello feel guilty, perhaps for Othello to apologise to Brabantio for what he's done, but also Brabantio's hoping that something will come of it and that Othello will either receive some kind of warning or some kind of punishment for his behaviour. In terms of the content, there's magic, witchcraft. He's convinced that Othello must have charmed his daughter in some way or cursed her in some way, and very, very aggressive throughout. Okay, so the final question, probably the most important. Why has Shakespeare included this piece of speech? How does he want his audience to feel? So Shakespeare includes this speech because later on, obviously, we see Othello fall from his high position of power. It could be that the audience at this point will see it, that Iago just brought out some of the evil underlying characteristics of Othello that were already there. So Brabantio's speech at this point highlights that to the audience. It suggests that there is something underlying to Othello's character. So that later on when we see it appear, we can kind of remember some of the things that Brabantio said at the start. He wants his audience to feel tense from the very beginning, questioning Othello's character. Having this unknown quality there creates this tension and conflict between characters on stage that we realise will continue throughout the play. It's a really, really important speech at the start. Okay, so in terms of writing your introduction, you need to put all of that together in as concise a way as you can, using academic vocabulary, and when you've written one, either self-assess it, peer assess it, or show it to me for a little bit of feedback. So really, write as many introductions as possible. Have a go with any extract from Othello that you can. Just open the play at any page and write an introduction as if that extract was included in your exam. And I think that's it. Okay, good luck writing your Shakespeare introduction.